Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we have various bits of Star Wars news. Yesterday was less of a news update and more to do with Star Wars lore and some commentary and opinions concerning the upcoming show The Acolyte. Go and check that out if you haven't done so, but as I say today, we have a few updates and we're gonna start with Star Wars Ahsoka, a brand new still. We have Rosario Dawson in the classic Ahsoka arms crossed pose. Some Star Wars fans are saying she does this a bit too much. I would say it's just a signature of the character at this point. We have Hera Syndulla's hologram in the background, and Hayang, the ancient architect droid professor. I'm sure this series is going to have so many surprises for Star Wars fans. The Star Wars official social media accounts posted a little short about Asajj Ventress, and I can't help but wonder, could we see her in a flashback? That'd be amazing. Don't underestimate Dave Filoni with this. I think he's going to go all out on the fan service. Now, on the subject of Ahsoka news, they changed Hera Syndulla's eyes. That's right, my dear friends. After many complaints, Lucasfilm edited the trailer. Hera Syndulla no longer has the blue bulbous eyes. Instead, they've dulled them down, and I've got to say, it looks so much better. I didn't really have a problem with it to begin with, but it's significantly more dulled back, and it looks more natural from what you'd expect from a Twi'lek. What do you guys think? It's so much less distracting. Star Wars Ahsoka drops on August 23rd, and Rosario Dawson's been doing some interviews and she's revealed she wants to continue playing the character for as long as she physically can. We know she has expressed desires for season 2 and she wants to do more with the character going forward. There's no doubt Dave Filoni's going to include her in the 2026 Mandalorian film, and when you really stop and think about it, she really is at the forefront of upcoming Star Wars content. She is the figurehead, the central figure for this era of Star Wars storytelling, and I'm all here for it. Ahsoka's a fantastic fan favourite who we've grown and developed with, and I couldn't be more psyched for this next chapter of her story in this show. So to move on to some other Star Wars news, the May 2026 film featuring Daisy Ridley's Rey is gonna start filming next April 2024. So it's on schedule for a May 2026 release date. If all goes to plan, we still don't know when the strikes are gonna end. Jason and Making Star Wars said casting hasn't even begun for most of the characters, so it really is just an estimation, and it is worth keeping in mind, release dates could change. They did say they plan to release 2 films in 2026, one in May and the other one in December, but it's very likely if things don't go to plan, they can push those films back to the following date, so the May film could release in December, the December one the following May, and so on and so forth. It's way too early to tell with any of this how things are going to play out because we're still in the very early stages of this. And so now, my dear friends, on to Star Wars Andor, and I promise you, this is interesting. I think you're really gonna like this. So Tony Gilroy's been talking a bit about the show. We do have one or two fascinating insights. So as he was asked a couple of weeks ago, once again, he's asked about the Star Wars fandom. This was in a very interesting conversation with The Hollywood Reporter. Now at the time, his comments about Kathleen Kennedy and the Star Wars fandom were really taken out of context. But here he clarifies what he meant. So here's what he said. I'd been on Rogue One, and that was a very kind of clinical experience. The feedback wasn't unknown to me, but man, I just ignored it. Just flat out ignored it. That one comment will generate 90 million Reddit posts, and I'm certainly not being dismissive of it. And here's the huge bit. He says, quote, by the time I finish this, I'll have been responsible for 26 hours of Star Wars canon. That puts me in a very small group. I respect it. We just went and did the Star Wars celebration in London, and it's really a pleasure to say to them with all honesty that they're investors in our show. It's their mad passion that forms the basic motor that gave Disney the economic guts to gamble on something as bizarrely different as what we did. So I pay attention to it. And just to pause for a minute, I want to say, Tony Gilroy is not just a fantastic screenwriter, he's an awesome guy, and he respects Star Wars fans. He knows how passionate we are, he doesn't belittle us, and he knows how to distinguish passion from toxicity. He's not just painting everyone with the same brush. He's saying, sure, there are negative things out there. Of course you're gonna have fans who take things too far, but for the most part, fans love Star Wars, they're just showing their passion. And then he goes on to say, I know a great deal about a 5-year period in Star Wars history, and I won't embarrass myself and describe how little I know about the rest of it. It'd be criminal if I didn't have great affection for the environment I'm playing with. And he's of course talking about 5BBY to 0BBY, Andor Season 1, Season 2, the years leading up to Rogue One, and he's very open about the fact he's not a lore nerd. He doesn't know too much about the greater Star Wars universe, but what he does know is this period of history, and he's very passionate to tell that story, to give Star Wars fans a piece of this very important time of the Empire Empire and give us a fantastically written show, and he says his passion comes from revolutions in history, many of them, so they're not specific to one set of politics, one time period. He wants to make it as accessible as possible, and that's a really important thing. That's really great. It's ironic that one of the best Star Wars storytellers of our time is someone who does not consider himself a big fan, but I'm sure he's become a bigger one than before just working on this show. Andor Season 2 alongside The Acolyte is also scheduled to drop next year. One final thing from Gilroy, he addresses one of the most important scenes from Andor Season 1. He breaks it down, the scene where Cassian kills Skeen. That was one of the most important turning points in Cassian's life. Here's what Tony says, quote, "Cassian's doing a very rapid mathematical algorithm in his mind about what betraying the others would mean, and what the risk would be, and what his future would look like. I mean, that's a moment where he's considering it. Cassian just wants to get his cut and get out. He's not a revolutionary at this point, but he's seen their commitment, and there is some respect and interest in the rebellion taking effect. Also, how do you trust this son of a bitch? If he's willing to do that to them, what else is he gonna do? He's dangerous." In other Andor news, Stellan Skarsgard is a perfectionist. One of the best performances from Andor Season 1 was Luthen Rael, and that famous speech, that monologue, lives rent-free in my head. Well, now a big reveal, it took Stellan 10 times before he decided he was happy with it. He practiced it over and over again, and it took 10 attempts before he said to himself and the crew, "You know what? That's the take." And oh boy, was that a great one. The 72-year-old is no stranger to massive otherworldly franchises, but his performance in Star Wars has already become iconic after one season. His moving speech was a fan favourite, and in an exclusive interview with Dagobah Dispatch, he opened up about what it meant to give that speech in the galaxy far, far away, that tense moment that had fans on the edge of their seats. The sacrifice of being a rebel, one who will never live to see the fruits of his labour if they succeed. Here's his quote, "And I worked on it. When we shot it, somehow I was tense, and I think I said, let's go again, let's go again, let's go again. I think I did it 10 times in a row, very fast, right on top of each other, 10 times, like go, go, go. And then it was good. Then I was satisfied, and the director was satisfied as well." And he reiterates, "It was very intense." Tony Gilroy was blown away. Some really awesome stuff, guys, and I can't wait to see more of Luthen in Season 2. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you tomorrow. May the Force be with you, always.